Lots happening in the news today. You might remember this guy. Remember him? He's still in the White House. But I have a huge question for you. What's going to happen on January 6th in Washington, D.C.? Is there going to be violence at this planned protest where people think the election has been stolen from President Trump? Wait until you hear what I'm about to play for you in just a moment. It all started with a tweet. The tweet has been deleted, and the president has either removed that or Twitter has removed it. But this remains. This was posted yesterday on Donald Trump's official Facebook page. You can see here it says, the big protest rally in Washington, D.C. will take place at 11 a.m. on January 6th. There's that date. Locational details to follow. Stop the steal. And a lot of people have responded saying that they're going to be there. Some people saying they'll be there in spirit, but a lot of people saying that they're going to show up for this event on January 6th. Will it get violent? That's a huge question. It's really hard to see who's even behind this. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a second as well. But let's toss on the headphones and go over to Newsmax, where Louis Gohmert was talking about this situation after the latest lawsuit was dismissed. This was what they're calling the Pence lawsuit. The judge said they don't have a jurisdiction in this case, and like almost every one of these Stop the Steal lawsuits, the Trump administration lost in spectacular fashion. So, what's going on Newsmax? This is this Fox News alternative where they're even further off to the right. What are they talking about? And are they suggesting anything's going to get violent on January 6th at this protest?
If I don't have standing to do that, nobody does. And if the appropriate defendant is not the vice president that under the Constitution has the power to make that determination, then there is no. But bottom line is,
right here,
the court is saying, we're not going to touch this. You have no remedy. Basically, in effect, the ruling would be that you got to go to the streets and be as violent as Antifa and BLM.
Well, let me ask you, Congressman.
And the Newsmax host jumps in here. He said, basically, in effect, the ruling would be you got to go to the streets and be as violent as Antifa and BLM. It's interesting the way he worded that, so that anybody who gets mad is then, in effect, admitting that there was violence with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, but let's not get hung up on that. Now, the congressman continued. Here he is talking about how this will mean the end of the republic. Again, this is all ahead of, in just a couple of days, this D.C. protest. More on what's going to happen there in a second.
There are people all over the country praying that people will get a backbone. And so, as John Quincy Adams said, the work is ours, the results up to God. So we will keep laboring and working and trying to do everything we can to see that people come to the right conclusion. Because I'm telling you, Emerald, if they do not, it will mean the end of our republic, the end of this little experiment, self-government.
The end of our republic, the end of the experiment in self-government, says a sitting congressman who's talking about this. And now over to the Washington Post. January 6th protests multiply as Trump continues to call supporters to Washington. That's what that post was all about over on Facebook. What's going to happen here? It's supposed to be going on from about noon to about 5 on January 6th. And there's a lot of different groups that are going to be there. There is no centralized page that I can find that is organizing this. There's no real centralized group that's doing it. And there's no telling how many people are going to be out there, though we do know that the Proud Boys are saying that they intend to be there. This is just the closure list in D.C., all the streets that will be closed on January 5th through January 6th at almost midnight because of these planned events here in Washington, D.C. At this particular protest we're talking about. Lots of stuff closed. Black Lives Matter DC is even asking the hotels not to book people, to close ahead of this demonstration that's coming up, which is a little insane to think about. And then they're saying over on the USA Today website, wild protests. Police are bracing for these pro-Trump rallies when Congress meets January 6th. Big question, why January 6th? that is the day that Joe Biden's win will be certified, or should be certified, by the U.S. Congress. And they plan to have this big protest to counter that. And when you have people saying you got to take to the streets and be just as violent as Black Lives Matter and Antifa, and you've got groups like the Proud Boys saying they're going to be out there, they'll be incognito, they won't be wearing their black and yellow clothing, representing themselves. It's, there's no telling what is going to happen here. Today is January 2nd. We find ourselves 4 days away from this big event this week in D.C. So what do you think? Is it going to fizzle out? Will there not be a big crowd there? Will it be an embarrassing gathering with not so many people? I don't know. I don't think that's going to be the case. I've seen a lot of people who have at least suggested online that they're going. So I would guess at least into the five figures that you're going to see in terms of people out here, maybe 10, 20,000 people that show up for this rally in D.C. Do you think that's correct? Do you think there's going to be a massive crowd? Are you planning on going? Do you think that there'll be violence out here? There's a lot of big questions around this thing. And with the president amplifying it and saying, hey, look, it's going down, it's a big protest rally, that only does more to draw attention to what we're seeing happen here. It's going to be an interesting day to watch. If you're somebody who loves news and loves things that are happening in the news cycle, definitely put January 6th on your calendar and let me know your thoughts right now. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you real soon.